requests, your good resolutions, we should enable you to fulfill them. Let us rejoice, then we will rejoice in the Geula. Uvashem Eloheinu Nidgel, and the name of God will be raised high on a banner. Yumali Adonai Kol Mishalesecha, Hashem will fulfill all your heart's requests. Now I know, Ki Hashia Adonai Mashiach, Hashem saves his anointed one. Ya'anehu Mishmei Kodshe V'Gavurish Yesheminei. He saves him from his holy heavens with might, salvation from his right hand. They come with their chariots and their cavalry and so on. We come with the name of God on our lips. They stumbled, they fell. We stood up and we are standing strong. Hashem is our King, He is the Lord. May He answer us on the day we call. Okay. We learned in chapter 6 about the whole concept of the Sitra Achra, the other side. The negative counter image of the holy side. What is the holy side? The side of holiness, Kedusha. The word Kedusha means holiness. The word Kodesh, Kodesh, the angels all say, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The other side is the opposite. You know, wouldn't you know it? There are actually people who embrace willingly the other side, and they get involved because they imagine that it gives them real power, and power is expressed by being able to hurt their enemies. Black magic, terrible. Evil people. And we learned that in the other side, the side of Klippa, it's generally called Klippa. There are 4 levels. The highest level corresponds, so to speak, to the Yud of the God's name, and the 3 lower levels are the source of all unclean things in the world. Therefore, the Torah warns us, don't play with these things. You know, tell a child, don't play with fire. This is not a place where you will prosper or benefit, even if you're going to use the energy that you get or from the money that you steal. It's not going to help. It's not going to buy you a ticket to the world of holiness. Okay. So let's take a look inside. First little bit will be review from yesterday, page 113. Introduces on the, however, it's like, however, Bahamas, here we have 2 terms for the animal soul, the vital soul, from root chai, chayunis, Bahamas, the animal soul, pleasure-seeking, self-centered, should be Yisroel, which is in every Jewish person has this. Shemitzad HaKlippa, which comes from the side of klippas. So that's 3 terms for klippas here. We got the vital soul, the animal soul, the soul from klippas. Hamalubeshes bedam, finds its place in the blood, the left side of your heart. Of an Adam Kanisker Leyol, as we mentioned in the last chapter. When the Poshes, now this extends also. You see how the Alter Rebbe builds this up point by point. So first of all, it's the animal soul of a Jewish person. Then it's the source of life in the nefashos, behemoths, the life of animals, the chayos, wild animals, domestic and behemoths are domestic animals, like cows and sheep and goats. Hatahirim, and they're pure. There's purity and there's lack of purity. Pure animals are the kosher ones. The oifes and birds, they're kosher birds. The Torah lists 21 birds that are not kosher. So if you capture a bird and you're hungry on a desert island, if it's not one of these 21, you can eat it. Most birds are kosher, but the birds of prey are not. I once saw a video clip just recently of an eagle in the mountains which pounced on a mountain goat or a sheep. It looked like quite a sizable animal. And the goats, they're able to cling to the rocks. I don't know how they do it, but they cling to the rocks, and this eagle pounced on it. And by flapping its wings, it was so powerful, by flapping its wings repeatedly, it was actually able to pull the goat off of the rock. And it was flying with this goat, or mountain goat, or mountain sheep, in his claws, flying with it. And there was mountains, so he flew over not a ravine, but maybe 300-400 feet drop down to the rocks. Let go. The sheep fell to its death, and the eagle had where to come for supper. The animal would freeze in the wind, in the cold. Okay, so we have non-kosher birds of prey, and we have kosher animals. How do we know if an animal is kosher on a desert island? You look for the toenails. There's only 4 animals in the world. There are 2 signs of a kosher animal, right? They chew the cud, they regurgitate. They have several stomachs. They chew their food over and over and over again. They vomit it up and they chew it and eat it a second time. So a kosher animal has this system of regurgitating and re-eating its food, which is a lesson to us. Before we do anything hasty, we should chew it over, so to speak. Think of it if it's really appropriate for us to be doing it. And it has 2 toenails. There are only 4 animals that have 1 of these kosher signs and not 2. And it says in a book written about, I guess, 400 or 500 years ago, called the Book of Chinuch. Rabbi Yehuda Halevi wrote it in Spain. And he goes through the chapters, a very interesting book. He goes through the chapters of the Torah and explains any mitzvah that's in that chapter. And he says about this law of the signs of the kosher animal, that this is really a gift from the kindness of Hashem. Because if we want to know if an animal is kosher or not, we have to wait to see if it regurgitates its food or not. In the meantime, we're starving. So therefore, Hashem says you don't have to wait. Just look. If you see there's 2 toenails, it's kosher, unless it says oink oink. If it's an oinky animal, then that's the only one. And that's why it's an insult to call a person by that name. Fighting words. You called me that? How dare you? Whereas nobody gets upset if you call someone a camel. A camel has one of those signs. By chance, one day, I happened to see a journal, a book that was written by a Russian journalist who went with the Russian troops when Russia was taking its chances trying to invade Afghanistan. Afghanistan has defeated almost every country. And he writes there that the locals used camels for smuggling. They would take drugs and put them in sackets, how do you say, little bags, feed them to the camels, and then take them where they wanted to take them, cross the border, cross the security, everything. And when they got where they wanted to go, then the camel would regurgitate, and up would come all the contraband, which they would sell. So the camel is one animal that we know it regurgitates its food, and it does not, it has hoofs. Does it have hoofs or does no? It has flat feet, but it doesn't have two toenails. There's only one animal in the world that has two toenails, and it's not kosher. The other two are a rock badger. I don't know what a rock badger is. I've never seen one. And a hare, kind of a rabbit. When I was a kid, it was a thing. We used to buy keychain. A person would buy a keychain with a nice soft rabbit hair on it from a rabbit's foot, but it's a paw. It's not. It doesn't have two toenails. But apparently, rabbits also regurgitate their food. Okay, now, second paragraph. Similarly, the souls of behemoths, domestic animals, chayas, wild animals, oifes, birds that are kosher, dagim, fish that are kosher, and therefore they are tahirim, umutorim b'achila, we're allowed to eat them. V'kiyum v'chayas kol hadoimim. Now, in the mineral world, everything that exists. And in the organic world, tzomeach means it grows, growing things, grains, and so on. Umutar b'achila, which are permissible to eat, which we said the exceptions there are mixtures. We're not allowed to crossbreed animals to make a donkey and a horse to have children. They are called mules. They're very strong, but they could also be dangerous. Mules, mule team. They cannot have children. There's no offspring from such a thing. Curious. You can't, how do you have a mixture? You can't plow a field with a donkey and a horse. Can't mix animals, even for work. Can't mix, in the organic world, you can't mix grapes together in the same yard or in the same field with wheat or grain, barley, five types of grain. It has to be uprooted. Can't eat it. It's called kilayim. Even though you can use grain for bread, it's the staff of life. But if it's in this growing in the same field with grapes, the life flow gets, this is mystical. The life flow gets all screwed up. And since it says clearly don't do it, that means if you do it and you take food from that field, it's not going to help you. It's going to mess you up. You know what it's like? This was an old tactic of people who fought against Yiddishkeit. They would convince families to send their children in the hard times in Europe and Eastern Europe, especially. There was no money, there was no economy, there were no schools. So came the, what's it called? The Enlightenment, it was called, the Enlightenment from Germany. It was a form of intellectual anti-Semitism. It was the roots, which was followed later, 50 years or 75 years later, by physical anti-Semitism with the Holocaust. But its origins were intellectual. and they would convince families to send their children with them so they'd have food to eat and they would get a good education. And they would also convince them that all the rituals that they had been trained in were nonsense. How would they convince? The child would say, but my parents taught me to do this. Wash Negel Wasser in the morning. Say, it's old wives' tales. It's superstitious. You don't have to do it. And they would wash your hands in the morning. Say your prayer. Wash your hands. Now take this water. Drink a little bit. Won't hurt you. You'll see. That's how they save the children from Yiddishkeit. Okay, back in the text. The kiyum v'chayis. Kiyum means the existence, maintaining a thing in life, and the chayis is the soul, the energy within the mineral world. Is there energy in the mineral world? You bet there is. Gunpowder, explosives, atomic bombs. It's all uranium, releasing tremendous energy from the mineral world. So as long as it's dealt with in a proper kosher way, it's all these things that we listed here, from the organic world and the mineral world, mutar ba'achila, you're allowed to eat them, they're pure. They get their life from Klippas Noga. All these things, you take it step by step. It's like building a structure. Moving on to the human elements, kiyum v'chayis kol ha'maisa dibur machshava. The existence, your physical existence, doing something, and the life that's within you as you do it. B'inyoni olam hazeh, from your everyday life in this world, she'ein bahem tzad isur, that has nothing forbidden about it. Okay, you're not stealing anything. You're not trashing someone's reputation. You're not preventing somebody from earning a living. You're not messing up somebody's shidduch with a bad word. But you lead a good life. Lei sharish v'lei anaf. There's no hint of any negativity in what you are doing from any of the 365 negative mitzvahs or any of their derivatives. Anfehem, the branches, whether these are transgressions listed in the Torah or they are enactments of the rabbis who made many guidelines, like you build a fence around the rose garden so the animals won't trample on the roses. So a lot of the teachings of the rabbis are for this purpose. They make a fence around the mitzvahs. They try to keep us away. Like the classic example is in the first chapter of the Talmud on blessings, when they ask when is the time for saying Kriya Shema in the evening, and they say until dawn. But the rabbi said, we're not going to wait until dawn. We're going to set it at 12 o'clock, midnight. And why? Why make it so early? If we've got late more time, to keep a person far away from the deadline. We don't want to be borderline Jews. If you're on the borderline, then before you know it, you step over the border. You didn't realize. I didn't know that was forbidden. Okay. So there's no hint at all of any activity that you're doing that's against the teachings of the Torah or of the Rabbanim. Rak she'enu l'shem shamayim. So what's the problem? Why are all these things we just listed, all these activities that we might be involved in, business, exercise, relaxation, art, philosophy, history, music, What's wrong with them? The only thing wrong, nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong about it. But here's the catch. Second paragraph, the third paragraph, third lines, page 114. Einan l'shem shamayim. The second line there. They're not for the sake of God. It's got nothing to do with serving God. It's just something you like to do. I like to do sculpture. I like to do pottery. Whatever it is. If it's just the fourth paragraph, third paragraph, page 114, it's something you do. Exercise, you want to be healthy. Nothing wrong with it. It's just something you physically like, physical pleasure. Saying something you want to do, but taivose, you like. Something fell on the floor. It's your desire. Why did you do that? I wanted to. Even if it's not something you just like to do it, but it's something your doctor told you have to do it. Or your psychologist said, you need to go to Mexico and get some sun. You're not healthy. So if it's necessary, l'kiyume, for your continued life, v'chayuse, and your energy, mamish, for really for sure, ella shavakavanose, but here's the catch 22, your intentions, your kavana means intentions, your inner desires, eino l'shem shamayim, are not for the sake of God or holiness, kadei la'avoid, which means, what does that mean? What does it mean to do something l'shem shamayim? Means I'm doing this in order to serve Hashem with physically with my body. We're talking about bodily things that you do that are not focused on the service of Hashem. Like there's this guy from Cleveland, Sachs was his name. He was very, very wealthy. Maybe still is. Maybe still alive. He's still alive. He was very wealthy. He made a proposition to the federations of all the American cities that they should make a fund, invest millions of dollars, and the annuity, the yearly yield on this fund would be used for Jewish education. If you ever heard about this, he says, I want to meet that man. And Rabbi Alevsky, I think, brought him to the Rebbe. And he walked in. The first thing the Rebbe said to him, now how's this? There was no chit-chat. There was no pleasantries. The Rebbe looked at him and he says, I see that you've taken very good care of your body. What have you done for your soul? And the Rebbe urged that he should take this money that he's collecting for education and give the Rebbe permission to use it to develop education, Jewish education in America and in the world. And he didn't do it. And he admired the Rebbe immensely. The Rebbe even asked him at no cost from his part to take one of his Hasidim, let the Rebbe send one Hasid just to live in your house for six months. And you would learn and it would open your mind. So no thank you. Thank you, but no thank you, he says to the Rebbe. It was true. It was a shame. But what can you expect? He wasn't brought up that way. He was part of the secular Jewish movement, I guess. Not a movement, just an outlook on life. However, Hashem paid him back anyway. He had a daughter. She went to Israel, birthright. She became a Baal Tshuva. And she met a nice young man. She wanted to get married, and she wanted a blessing from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So he brought her. It was in 1988. It was shortly after the Rebbitzin had passed, and the Rebbe was in the house the whole year. He didn't leave the house except on Shabbos. And they lined up. The lineups were long lineups of people coming to get a blessing from the Rebbe. They did not tell anybody who they were. I forget his first name, Gershon Sachs, maybe. You can look him up online. Sachs, Lubavitcher Rebbe, you'll come up with the whole interview. He described the whole thing. And then he just came by, he didn't say anything. Came by the Rebbe. It was 17 years later, came by and with his daughter wanted a blessing for her forthcoming wedding. And the Rebbe looked at him and he said, "What's happening with Jewish education?" He said, "Rebbe, you're amazing." He remembered him for all those years. And the Rebbe said, "What does it help Jewish education if I'm amazing?" Tachlis, we need to educate children. I saw downstairs the Rebbe responsa, the letters about the necessity of Jewish education. They called the pamphlet a matter of survival. Okay, so all these activities, which are not for the sake of heaven, even if they're for the need of the body and continuing, strengthening the body and life, and there's nothing wrong with what the person is doing, but his intention is not for the sake of heaven. What would it be for the sake of heaven? He says here in the English commentary, to utilize his body as an instrument in the service of God. For instance, a person becomes a coach, a physical, teaching physical fitness, and you go to a summer camp, or you run a program in the yeshiva for the boys in yeshiva. They need to be physically fit. When I was in school, the best classes we had was Tuesday and Thursday. We got to play in the gym for an hour. Kids love to play. And then you use that to teach them Torah. First of all, they'll listen to you more, and you can adapt everything. Everything you do has a lesson. You can learn from it. The Baal Shem Tov taught that a person can learn from everything he sees and hears. And everything that you do in the realm of fitness, physical fitness, has a lesson to it. A guy sent me once a clip from a football game of this particular athlete. He was running with the ball, and there was this whole line of defenders who were going to prevent him from getting over the line. He jumped up in the air so high, and then he did a somersault over them into the end zone. Unbelievable. So the guy sent me this. He says, "Here you have it. L'chatchila river." Everybody goes this. If you have a problem, you have to think, how am I going to get around this? Can I get around? How am I going to get out of this one? And the Rebbe Maharash, the fourth Rebbe of Lubavitch, he says, "I don't do any of these things. I just right away do what I have to do." He didn't recognize any obstacles there. He just somersaulted over them. There a physical lesson. Leah, so now comes the bottom line. Last paragraph, page 114. And this is something that's a shock. It's a shock. All these activities, which are part of our normal everyday life, lay adifi, there's nothing better in them than this dibur, ma'isa dibur machshava, the thoughts, words, and actions of this person are no better than the animal soul itself. And I thought I was better than that. I didn't think I was an animal. The Rebbe says, you're not. And everything, v'hakol kasher l'kol, and everything comes in what we call our everyday life, the actions, thoughts, words from this second level of Klippa, the highest level of Klippa, which is called Klippas Noga, the fourth level of Klippa called Klippas Noga. He translates it here, a Klippa that shines. Why does it shine? Because there is a ray of holiness there. In the Klippa itself, there's a ray of holiness, which we learned in chapter 1 of the Tanya. And that's why the animal soul of a Jewish person, which comes from Klippas Noga, can also be the source of a lot of holy things. And he gives the three holy signs of a Jewish person, which are that they are kind and merciful and modest. So if you're being kind and merciful and modest, don't believe it if people say that you're a nerd. You're not a nerd, you're holy. For in this world, in this world, which is called the world of action, higher worlds are not worlds of action. There's no action going on in higher worlds. Everything is spiritual. Rube kakule ra, but in this world that we live in, 98% and 44% of things are from Klippas Noga, which is Klippa. It's evil. It's not for the sake of God. There's only a little potential of good in most of these things. Like a person could devote himself to making millions and billions and gazillions, but if he doesn't give 10% to tzedakah, then it's just selfish. But if he gives us 10 or 11% or 15% or 20% to help the needy, then it's holy. So these millionaires and billionaires give huge amounts to charity, but Baruch Hashem, if they're not over the 10% line, it's just selfishness. They feel good about it. Makes them feel good. And if they are over there, then they have an eternal place in the realm of godliness. The bottom paragraph of page 115, Shemimena from Klippas Noga come, boys, midas, teves, the good qualities in the character of a Jewish person, Shebenefesh Bahamas, which are from the animal soul of a regular Jew, should be a soul, as we explained above in chapter 1. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you got a few surprises in today's shir, and I hope you were able to appreciate this structure with which the Alter Rebbe is building up his idea. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam bo ein pashas v'asrinan al kel masha baras Allah Yisrael v'mishkol Chei ha'olamim. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you early. Thank you for coming on time. Stretch. It's not going so well.
Why?
Oh, that person does not. Every time I call, doesn't pick up.
Okay.
Got you once.
It's really fine.
No, I'm gonna keep trying, but like. My friend gave me that one.
Okay, amazing.
Maybe you should.
How have you been? I really can't get over it how well you got over your surgery, you healed so so fast by that's how it is for some people and it was for me also, but I'm really afraid of everyone else saying
Everyone was like,
yeah,
I was like,
that's what we want.
I literally came inside, I was like freaking out. But I literally spent the whole time listening to Hanukkah music because that's the first one that came on.
Yeah.
And they let me put my hand. So
Okay, good. That's good.
so I had the Hanukkah upmix while they were like
That's such a vibe.
good stuff. I didn't want to listen to it, to be honest. But like, what was I gonna do? Switch it, roll it? There's another. What did I choose to learn?
You could what?
You're going to what's it called? This week? Wagner's not hosting. Okay, so I will go to the chat. Wait. Hey, let's see. Is there a name to you? Oh, sorry. No, no, you're good.
Yeah.
It's a travel zone. So it's like, but it's already full. I think Wagner's hosting it on. Yeah. It's been hard. Thank you. Yeah. I'm sorry to tell you sooner.
You need to go to the
Is that not good?
she's in there.
Yeah, here. You don't want to see the video? Maybe veamos físico historias. No, e aí o metodologia que fala tá agora você produz que fazer fácil agora isso que what of course are you going of course she lives in Miami and she was from the States. Oh okay yeah y'all oh so we speak that's nice. Oh, I have it. Nice. That's why you're not asking for my phone.
want her to me by was not so bad, but I only fair from the social.
Bueno, entonces te juntas en la mitad de la noche. No, amigos solos en mi casa. Me volvieron a las 4. Difícil que la casa. I'm really confused about our yoga plan. No.
In like the basement, that you can run into.
Like to not really get so she hires
To come, right? Oh, I see.
Hey, Ariel, are you gonna teach us the space? I think it was Esther who mentioned you might work there, and I was wondering what you're gonna teach. If hard. Oh, that's gonna be, that would be nice. That's like the thing for teams, right? It's not just teams, but yeah, during the day, it's adults, and then at night, it's.
I'm gonna see comes from.
I was doing it for myself and being like, to do it as a class, and I was like, oh my god. Oh, is your Caruso the other one who works at the place? There's someone who comes to Caruso Tuesday night who works at the space. Where I was wondering like that was the connection. My connection is through my down. Oh, okay. Actually, they didn't have plastics that we saw now. No reason in my phone. It's happened like 3 times this year. I was thinking, you just leave it. It's so much to be done. Yeah.